So, welcome back to JV2 Chat. Again, I appreciate everybody who's been watching the videos, keeping up with the support. I know there's been a couple weird uploads here and there where I just feel like uploading the video. I still have a couple more of me and my friends, so hopefully as we go, we can just post those and yeah, just vibe overall together. We're gonna be just covering the weekday that happened, and it wasn't as exciting, obviously, just because Champions League wasn't there. But there were some exciting games, which hopefully we just cover in this segment. This is kind of like a little podcast, I would say. Obviously, not with the high end quality that I'd want to or that other people have, but I guess we have the essentials, a little mic here, the camera, which is good, and then a light, and soccer stuff, a little ball knowledge here and there. But we'll see what happens and we'll see what I can drop. But yeah, we're gonna get started with the video. Alright, hello. Obviously, we end the videos on Mondays for the weekend. So now we're gonna start covering the weekday, which we have Tuesday. Tuesday, February 28th. In which, as I'm seeing here, we start off with some Serie A matches. Roma against Cremonese, which again caught by surprise because Cremonese actually catched them yet again. After knocking them out of the cup, they catch them on the league, which is big because obviously we just know Roma, very good team, with exciting players as well as just Mourinho being there. And Cremonese, I'm pretty sure now with the win they're sitting 19th, so obviously very very good for them. I'm not sure just how the system worked, how the game went down, but Cremonese ended up getting a huge result, in which can ultimately maybe make them stay out of the relegation zone, but obviously that's a long shot, and we'll just have to see. But they catch Roma lacking yet again, and it's just suspenseful. But that's the end of that game. We just move into Juventus Torino, in which we have a 4-2 big scoring match. Obviously with Torino catching them first, but then Juan Cuadrado opens the score sheet for Juventus, and then Antonio Sanabria comes in for Torino and gets the goal, but then Danilo breaks in just a little bit before the halftime, getting his goal, and then we just see something amazing, as it was the first time that Paul Pogba came back and played for the Juventus squad, which is obviously nice, but there's just a lot to be discussed about Pogba because obviously we know his potential was crazy, and I don't even know if he can sit. He can't sit at table one in terms of best midfielders of all time, but he has arguments here and there for table B or C. However, obviously we know this whole situation's just been weird, but he's playing again, and well, hopefully we can just see some of that Pogba magic that we knew back in the Juventus days. But yeah, he just came in, nothing too much of an impact, but it just happens at that. Bremer gets a goal after that, and then Rabiot gets a goal after that, in which the game just ended 4-2, and Juventus got the 3 points. So we can just hope to see what else they have to offer. Moving into the FA Cup round 5, we have Brighton, who won 1-0 against Stoke City. Leicester, who lost 2-1 against Blackburn Rovers, and Fulham, who won 2-0 against Leeds. Obviously this one, my highlighted match, just because two Prem teams, two very good teams that you just didn't know what was gonna happen. But in this case, Joao Palhinha ended up opening the score sheet, and Manor Solomon, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, he's Israeli, and I mean, just doing bits for Fulham, because I'm sure he has 3 goals now, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, gets the job done. Fulham advance, and we just hope to see something better from them. Manchester City end up winning 3-0 against Bristol City, which just again crazy. Manchester City, we know what type of team they are and how they can and will get stuff done when it has to appear. Phil Foden opens it. Phil Foden then again, and then Kevin De Bruyne seals it off, which I've been seeing a lot of shouts and a lot of talks about Phil Foden coming back. Pep is always a weird manager. I don't mean that as in like affirm something bad, because I know what he's done, but he benches players, big names, he doesn't care, and then just brings them back and they keep performing just like that. In this case, Morris is one that always gets dropped around, but Phil Foden in this case, he's kind of have a little revival, because at the beginning of the season, With Erling Haaland coming in and all their signings and whatever, he wasn't getting much playing time, and they got to a point where he wasn't getting playing time at all. But now it just seems like he's taking full effect and growing a little back into it. And yeah, it just seems good, and I'm glad for him because he's a young player, and as Pep called him, better than Messi. We'll have to wait and see for that, but just excited as I do think that he's a very good player. We move into Olympique Lyon, who won 2-1 in their game, and the Coupe de France quarterfinals, who advanced then. We'll have to see what happens with that at the end, but those are all the games for Wednesday. Tuesday. We move into Wednesday now, March 1st, in which, again, the other Coupe de France games in which we have Nantes beating Lens 2-1, which, again, Lens, I don't think anything can be discredited from their season because at one point they were title contenders. That hype since then has ran down a lot, but I do hope that they get something out of it just because I think that they deserve it after staying in that fight and in that top flight for so long. But in this case, it just didn't happen. Toulouse beat Rode 6-1, big margins, and we just hope to see them in the semifinals. Marseille against Annecy, which again was just going to be a crazy match because Marseille obviously end up being the ones that knocked PSG out of the competition, and you seem to think that this was going to be an easy match, but it wasn't, as Annecy brought it to them. The game ended 2-2 on full time, then it went to penalties, and Annecy won 7-6. So the penalties went on for the long run, and it was just crazy and thrilling, I bet, for those fans. But they moved through and knock out Marseille, and we just hope to see them in the semifinals. It's going to be entertaining because, as it seems, Toulouse, Nantes, Annecy, or Olympique Lyon can win it. And obviously, out of those, I would bet Olympique Lyon just because they're the bigger team. But we'll have to see. The FA Cup continues, and then again, something crazy. I don't really keep up, or I don't really know much about the English Premier League, but Grimsby beat Southampton, which is just crazy and out because Southampton, Premier League team, and whatnot, and Grimsby, I don't even know where they play. EFL League 2, I think that's where they play. So, very bottom of it, and they beat Southampton, which is just crazy to see. And these are the underdog stories that a lot of teams or a lot of fans just love to see. And in this case, it just happens for them, so we can just keep watching them and keep seeing if they can make it through. But that's what happens. Burnley beat Fleetwood 1-0. Manchester United beat West Ham 3-1, which again, Manchester United are all just on that tight end form in which we can just hope a lot and see a lot from them because they're growing with Ten Hag. They are growing as a unit, as a team, and a lot of things can be expected from them now. But in this case, game was tight at the beginning, and Said Benrahma ended up scoring the first goal for West Ham. But then there was a goal ruled offside, or I'm not even sure offside. It just didn't count because of VAR. Casemiro's goal got disallowed. But then in the 77th minute, there was an own goal for West Ham, which just gave that confidence to them and just made them go through and wake up as Alejandro Garnacho got his goal in the 90th minute, and then in the 90th added time, Fred got his goal assisted by Wet Workhorst. And yeah, Manchester United ended up going through in the FA Cup, which is just another competition that they can look forward to winning, and they can just look forward to that competition. And then again, Tottenham is the history of them. They end up losing against Sheffield United, which just crazy to see because you just don't it's not even known if it can be expected or whatnot just because it is Tottenham, and their season has been some ups in some cases, but a lot of downs. Son running out of form, Conte not being up to par, them losing big matches like that. And if the season continues how it goes or how I have it pictured in my mind, they're not going to make it a top 4. And they're going to be stuck into the Europa League. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see the continuity of it. Aside from that, we move into the Premier League matches in which we have Arsenal against Everton. Was it going to be a repeat of Sean Dyche? No. Was that a fluke? Maybe. But that hype of Sean Dyche ran down to the ground as Arsenal run riot and end up winning 4-0. Bukayo Saka ends up getting his goal assisted by Zinchenko. Martinelli gets his goal assisted by Saka. Odegaard gets his goal assisted by Trossard. And Martinelli gets his second assisted by Nketiah. Obviously, just the main factors of those teams, those youngsters up top that just know how to connect and know how to beat their men, go into full effect and just show it in this match. Showcase that total dominion that they have over that bottom half and just show that they can get tough matches done. Because Sean Dyche had that plan of overloading with physical power in the midfield, and it didn't end up happening on this one, as Arsenal, again, just used that flair and that ability to be able to get through and get in behind and then totally dominate and just get those results. And then we saw, again, Liverpool against Wolves, which last time they had met, Wolves was obviously knocking on the door and beating them 3-0. But in this case, Liverpool was the one that reigned victorious, and they ended up winning 2-0. Which is just big, as obviously they had lost to Real Madrid, tied to Crystal Palace, so they needed a result to stay in the competition and keep looking for silverware this season. And it did happen. Again, it wasn't an easy match. It was a tight one. Darwin Nunez's goal got disallowed in the 66th minute, but that didn't lose their hope, as Virgil van Dijk scored a goal, assisted by Diogo Jota, and then Mohamed Salah gets his, assisted by Tsimikas. Which is just good to see. Salah obviously on the score sheet and Van Dijk going back and helping the team. If not defensively, he did offensively, but they did get that clean sheet as well. It's just good to see that. And yeah, they was just a good and all day for those two teams. For the others, not so much. And then we move on to the first semi-final leg of the Copa del Rey, which was Osasuna against Athletic Club. Again, tight match, just because I think Osasuna are having a very good season. And Atletico Bilbao, I think they're a very good team with a very, very good coach and just a very good system. But then as well, Osasuna have a very good coach as well. And players that can just add to that caliber. And it ended up being the case as one of ours ended up getting the goal in Abde Eslaouzi, who, again, amazing, exciting talent from Morocco that's just going to keep thriving, I hope. And he's just that type of player that we need right now. But I'm glad that he's getting his minutes and his time to grow over there with them. And hopefully just keep going at that pace and keep dominating. As next season, I think he's going to be a key part of our attack. But in terms of that, praise to Osasuna. They get the clean sheet done, and they were able to get the goal for him. Moy Gomez got the assist, and we can just hope to see them in the second leg and just hope to see more of them in the league. In terms of Wednesday, that is it. We now move on to Thursday, March 2nd. Not a lot to talk about on this one. In the Netherlands, not the league, but the cup, KNVB Becker, I'm pretty sure that's the competition or what it's called, P in the quarterfinals. PSV won against ADO 3-1, and Ajax won against, I don't want to try to pronounce that, but they won 3-0. So, I don't know if there's a first leg or not on that competition or whatever. I think it's the quarterfinals, so it's not. But they advanced through the second stages, so we'll hope to see them, see who they can go up against. But then we see the ultimate match, the match that I personally was not looking forward to, just because, again, it meant a lot. And by meant a lot, it was just because we lost. We obviously had a very, very bad week in losing to Manchester United and losing to Almeria. So it was very bad for us, and we needed a bounce back. We had a lot of players out: Lewandowski, Christensen, Pedri, and Dembele. So Real Madrid could really take advantage of us here. Obviously, them getting the result against Liverpool and just the confidence over the weekend, it was going to be good like that. But as well, I see a lot of Madrid fans aren't confident in their right mind because, yes, while they dominate Europe and dominate this and that, there's one team that is always troublesome for some reason for them, and that's us. And I'm glad that we are able to crack that code, because we cannot tremble at the sight of a giant. And that's what happened in this match. I didn't like, personally, the way that we played, and I didn't understand that until the end of the match, because we had to play like that. Low blocking, hoping for the counter, and just hoping for that goal. And just sitting back. And that was the case. that was exactly what happened. As I'll just take a look at the match now, and again, it's the Classico, so it's always going to be heated, and there's always going to be a lot of things to be said. Vinicius, obviously, um, because a lot of people say stuff like, oh, he's targeted or whatnot, and while that is the case in terms of racism, in terms of the pitch, it's different because a lot of people say that, oh, he gets like abuse or whatever, and then that, mm, what's the other thing that you call it? The referees overlook his actions or whatnot. But at certain times, he is a provoker and whatnot. I'm not saying it's fully on effect of his fault, but in the heat of the moment, stuff like that does happen. In this case, there was just a lot to be said about this match and a lot of fouls that should have gone either or way. Referee was horrible, I think, for both sides. I'm not just gonna go on and say, oh, it was terrible for us, but it just happened like that. And we open up the score sheet with Ferran, a little bit of magic from him, able to get that ball through Kessie, who Kessie just slotted that ball, but Courtois made a brilliant save, and unfortunately just ran into the path of Eder Militao, who ended up scoring the own goal, and there was just nothing to be done and nothing to be said about that. And then after that, we just sat low block and just hope for the best in that case. Real Madrid, though, it was just a lot because as much as their attacks were coming for us, all we did was just clear the ball, clear the ball, get it away from us, and just we'll roll with that and go with that as we go. Now, the things that I didn't like in this match personally was just the effects that Rafinha and Ferran had, because I didn't think Ferran was that great, and a lot of people are saying that he was, or that whenever he starts, it's like, oh, it's what not, and it's what this and that. But I just don't think he's personally that great. While he is growing in the last couple of matches, and he has been crucial for some of our results, I don't know. It's just simple things like that. I saw him losing the ball a lot. He was the creator of that goal and of the second chance that I'll get to, but I just there was a lot of times where he could have had the runs and just didn't make them. He had the runs, he had the time to beat his man, but he didn't beat him, and he just lost a lot of our balls from the counters that kept going back and kept getting our players tired. Rafinha as well, that same type of player, has a bit more energy than Ferran, but as well just cannot beat his man or tries to be too selfish, as well as Ferran trying to be too selfish. And then Fati, I just don't know what's been going on with him, because I think pace wise he has it, but it's just confidence that he lacks, and it's big confidence to shoot, confidence to dribble, confidence to trust the teammate, and just confidence overall. As whenever he brought in, there was a chance that was created for Kessie, and Fati just out of nowhere just saves that shot. That shot was 100% gonna go in. A little bit of Ferran magic on that wing dropped it down to Kessie, who I believed was gonna score that shot, but then it was Fati who got in the way. I know that in the moment there was not a lot that he could do, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh, just jump," or "Why are you there in that position?" But I can't take my frustrations out like that on him. I do still want him in the club, and I do still want him to help, because obviously at the beginning of last season he was completely amazing, and it's just very sad that he obviously had that big injury. But we can just hope for the best in terms of him, and I know he's not going to reach the potential that he once was going to reach, but I just hope that he doesn't miss out and end up being a waste like Bojan or any of the other talents that we had, because I believe in him and I want him to grow. But anyways, the match was just crazy, and then to begin with, there was obviously just a lot of fights, a lot of back and forth, but we end up getting a result, a big result, obviously at Real Madrid and the Bernabeu, which then we have the home advantage and we have the one goal advantage. And hopefully by the second leg, whenever we have all our players fit, it's going to be a riot, because that's what I want. I want us to put an end to this dominance and go on to win another trophy. But that is what happens in this match. All praise to Barcelona for the way that they played. And yes, I did get a little upset at the moment because of how it was, or how the game was played. But I had to understand that that was the only way to get a result, and we did. So I'm glad for that. Moving on to Friday, March 3rd, we obviously have Al Nassr, who beat Al Batin 3-1. I'm not sure if Ronaldo was responsible for any of these goals. He was not, so we just move on from it. Of course, we move into the Bundesliga match, which just was a crucial one. because obviously it was Borussia Dortmund against RB Leipzig, and it meant a lot because it meant a lot in terms of like how the league was gonna look. And in this case, Dortmund and their amazing run that they're having, they have to get a result because they could have gone on top of the table. And Leipzig, if they wanted to keep challenging, they needed a result here. And the game ended 2-1, which was obviously just exciting because it kept you on your seat. And a lot of things were said, a lot of things were expected of the game. Obviously heated as it had to be because it meant a lot. Like I said, Julian Brandt in the 13th minute scored a goal, but it was disallowed. Marco Reus in the 21st scored a penalty, which obviously just gave hype and gave a lot of energy to the team. And Emre Can followed up in the 39th minute getting a goal. And then obviously a lot of changes came in, a lot of changes were made. But in the 74th minute, Emil Forsberg scored the goal. And after that, you didn't know what was going to happen. A goal was all that they needed, and the goal was all that separated them from getting that 1 point. But Borussia Dortmund ended up going through, and it ended up just working for them, and it ended up putting them on the leader, as the leader of the league. And what else can be said? They deserve it. They were there. They expected it, and they just reign for now. And in Napoli's first loss, in which we have Napoli's loss, not first loss, and a loss for Napoli. Lazio beat them 1-0, which is obviously just a whole spectacle because Napoli were 18 points clear, and there was a lot of things said in and out, and in and out, and in moving into it, but it just kept on happening, kept on going for Lazio as they just kept pushing for that one goal. And again, it was just the main man up front that couldn't deliver this game, which was just Kvaratskhelia and Osimhen, even Lozano, who up front they just didn't have a very good game. The midfield and everything else seems to have been pretty solid, but obviously it was just Lazio who came in and ruled on it, and it was Vecino who got the goal and just got the 3 points, 3 important points, as obviously Napoli are just so far ahead that a result like this for anybody else is just very, very clear and evident that the league can be salvaged or they can get something out of it or a spot out of it. In this case, Lazio, which they are sitting third, and they just got a big result out of this match, which we just can continue looking for in the rest of the season. Moving into La Liga, which we have Real Sociedad tying against Cadiz. Ligue 1 needs an Auxerre tying 1-1. And then Liga MX, in which we have Mazatlan winning 3-1 against Cruz Azul. So obviously not great, as we were in a little bit of a hype train, winning a couple games here and there. But this result made us drop, and now we're sitting 12th, but it's just unfortunate in this manner. Hopefully we're able to pick ourselves up and get a result in the next one, but if not, I guess it's okay. I was able to witness them winning a trophy, so that's what matters to me, but obviously other stuff does matter us and continuing the form or the run of form, but in this case that was not us, and I don't know if it will be us. But that's how that match ended. Tigres ended up winning 1-0 against Necaxa, and Tijuana ended up tying 1-1 against Atlas. That was all the games for Friday Match 3rd, which just means that this segment of Weekday Roundup concludes. So again, just thank you for being here. Couple things to talk about. There was just a lot of big matches in this week, but just appreciate it if you stuck in through the end of the video. And again, just huge thank you for the support, and just keep going. I really, really appreciate it, and it helps a lot. But yeah, we'll just see what else happens in the weekend roundup. And yeah, thank you.